Great. But, yeah, we're...
Welcome, the Gamer Man's Lounge. Awaken to play.
Let's go ahead and talk about some games. Now, let's talk about the games of today, because the games of today are not doing so good, but that is where I come in. I take a look at the games of today, and basically, I will tell you what game is good, what game is not. And, of course, that's how our modern game views work. Kind of funny how I don't have an intro for modern games, but I have an intro for video game classics. Interesting. I know. Have to go and throw some shade at myself at this point. It is what it is, but anyway, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about pinball. Pinball has been this excellent little type of table-ish game that involves a ball and flippers, and you're kind of like in bumpers. You're hitting the ball and hitting the bumpers. You already get the idea. You already know. But anyway, I have to go back to some wonderful... You know, actually, we'll save that till after the review. My bad. But anyway, now that we're on the topic of pinball, let's go ahead and take a look at a game called Zaccaria Pinball. Now, Zaccaria, there's been like a top dog pinball manufacturer back in the good old days, and now they're kind of like teaming up with a dev studio, and they're getting cabs recreated and brought into digital format. So it's kind of like when it comes to like pinball effects, but it's like Zaccaria wanting to do its own thing, wanting to do its own pinball game platform for their own pinball machines. Interesting. It is very interesting. So, anyway. Oh man, air conditioning coming at me. Anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look at a wonderful game that is called Zaccaria Pinball. Back in the good old days, Zaccaria used to be a big name in the scene of pinball. That's right, pinball, everybody's favorite little table game that involves a ball, a couple of flippers, and a bunch of bumpers and whatever decorations that scores you plenty and plenty of points. Hopefully I'm not off on my definition of pinball. I mean, it is essentially like a little table-ish machine that involves flippers, a metal ball, and bumper. Okay, let's get right on going. But pinball has been pretty much going wild alongside video games. But, however, let's talk about pinball. We all know our top dogs alongside Williams, especially Zaccaria. Oh wow, I pronounced shit right. Holy shit. Yeah, I totally did it. Unlike the other female characters I fucking pronounced in Azure Lane. God damn, I fucked up on that. Oh well, let's get right on going. Magic Pixel and Zaccaria joined forces together to release a wonderful collection of pinball cabinets brought to digital format. So yes, all those beloved pinball tables that you love, or you know what, pinball machines that you love, yes, like I said, they're brought in digital format. You get the fucking idea, shut up. The game is free-to-play, though free-to-players do get a free cabinet that is Time Machine. However, anything else, they can go ahead and play them for like a score-limited demo run. You reach a certain score, your trial ends. However, if you are interested and you want to get unlimited playtime with that cabinet, go ahead and get a hold of that cabinet. Now, looking at the prices for each cab, we are pretty much looking at $2 to $3 each. Some pinball cabs are gonna basically end up with a retro version, a improved version with some additional stuff added to it, a remake version, and of course a deluxe version that makes things way more fancier. Now, there is a starter bundle that will pretty much give you a ton of pinball machines to access for like a low price, but however, if you do have a VR headset, just go ahead and get a hold of the VR version of it. Same thing, but with the VR DLC. Also, another heads up, this game is in early access, but however, the development has been pretty much going strong. The latest that has been released recently was a pack involving the Postal Redux cabinets. Now, another thing that is really cool about Zaccaria Pinball is the customization. And not only you can customize the pinball machines, but you could also customize the virtual environment you play your pinball machines in. Now, there are two difficulty settings. There's the arcade mode, and then there's the simulation. The simulation being the toughest because it's like as accurate as it can get, and as I say as accurate, it's going to be pretty much tough to manage as you try to get used to some shenanigans when it comes to pinball physics. You can also fuck around with your camera angles and heads-up display settings just to move the score tab into one other area, or just switch between camera angles, which is very neat. Now, there is online multiplayer involved, and of course there is tournament mode. And yes, you can play with 2 players or up to 4 players locally. Ah, yes, up to 4 players. Anyway, it is pinball, you're sharing the same table, so you do have to take turns. This is something that everybody should be good at by now. I mean, seriously. I mean, everyone's been practicing this habit. Seriously, who gets to, you know what, with whose wife or whose husband on Tuesday and then on Friday? I mean, come on. Netorare has been a popular genre, but let's get right on going. Now, yes, there is a bunch of extra stuff that is going down over at Zaccaria. One example would be they have their video games catalog, which you can also play alongside their pinball stuff. The one that I have been playing was the Commander Jack, where you're playing as Jack, who's in a tank and shooting zombies from left and right. But of course, if you come here for the pinball, you'll come here for the pinball. Now, you are given a big catalog of pinball machines to access from, brought into digital format. So, yes, you can, of course, do score run limited trials. Like I just said, you just reach a certain score and then game over on you, unless you want to get unlimited play and then buy the pinball machine individually. And of course, the cabs you get range from the very old retro carts to the new and improved ones, then the modern day new decade remake versions, like around 2010s to 2020. You do have the deluxe ones with the fancy screens and fancy stuff. And pretty much with each pinball cab at like $2 to $3 each, depending on whether you want to get the older ones or the fancy-ass deluxe ones. And yes, like every other game involving pinball, there is tilt. Remember, don't tilt too much, or you'll get your ass a penalty. We do have a very big selection. We are talking about an early access game that has been pretty much years and years and years of development and have now pretty much a bigger catalog. There is a sort button, but however, it would be appreciative if the sort button has like an additional thing where you could sort by cabs you purchased and cabs you didn't purchase. Would be great if accessing the cabs you purchase would be, less of a hassle. Yes, Zakaria Pinball does have features where you can rotate the screen, where you can put your screen on portrait mode, so you could go ahead and do a little vertical display stuff. Makes sense. We're talking about a pinball game about pinball games. And yes, this collection serves as a big, gigantic museum of all those pinball machines that were made and released by the company from left and right. So some of these boards are going to be your favorite, some of these boards may be to you stinkers, it is what it is. However, enough dinging around, so let's go ahead and talk about how these pinball machines have been recreated, and these pinball machines have been recreated great. They look just like the pinball machines, and boy oh boy, they look fantastic than ever. And of course, add in the customability to not only your cabs, but also your virtual environments. And of course, there is amount of detail from left to right you can totally see. And of course, the sounds seem to be emulated fantastically. Now, the game controls well, but however, if we're talking about keyboard controls for PC version players, you pretty much will more likely want to rebind the flipper controls unless you want to get hit with sticky key messages from left and right. Zakaria Pinball offers a free-to-play option which gives you a free pinball cab and does give you pretty much score-limited trial runs of other pinball machines. a conveniently priced starter pack, so entry is going to be pretty much more of a breeze. The pinball games have been pretty much recreated great, with some pretty much great presentation from left to right, and of course some great sound emulation quality. There is a ton of interesting stuff that keeps on going on. Especially, this one has a story mode. Yes, there is a story mode. And for an early access title, we are looking at years and years of development, and considering the years and years of development, it is going in strong. It is still strong. There is still effort going down from left and right. Still dedication, blood, sweat, and tears poured into it from left and right. This game pretty much right now in its current state is basically kind of worth it to jump in and try it out, and if you take a liking to some of those, don't worry, they're pretty much conveniently priced. They're like $2 to $3 each, depending on whether you want to go for the oldest or you want to go for the newest, fanciest, deluxe card. Why the hell did I call them cards? Pinball machines. So if you're curious now, go ahead, check it out. It is definitely going to be worth your curiosity. It is free to try. You do get a free pinball cab. It's Time Machine. And of course, you can demo other pinball machines, which is nice. Zakaria Pinball is a collection that is definitely worth checking out, worth trying out. And of course, if you're really interested, definitely worth getting more into. I know I look tired as shit. And I am pretty much basically tired as shit, but when you have gotcha games to grind off of and login bonuses to get a hold of, and your internet's out, you do end up losing sleep, because you gotta have that stuff, man. I mean, come on, we don't even know when Yoimiya is gonna get her next banner. We don't know who the next UR is going to be in Azure Lane. Anyway, let's get right on going to pinball. Let's keep right on going with the pinball thing. And wonderful pinball memories. Back then, when I was a kid, I would end up a little mini pinball machine. It was sort of like a space-themed one. I know there was the one with the South Park one. There's the South Park one. That's in digital web flash game. Takes back... Yeah, Comedy Central had that South Park pinball, and then there was the one pinball game that was included in Windows XP. But me, as a kid, I would end up with a pinball machine that is so portable, and you have to put batteries in it, but my dumbass never bothers to ever consider putting batteries in, and yeah, it is what it is. So I ended up playing it with no power and no batteries. But however, when there are motherfucking batteries added to it, and then we get it working, and then, oh yeah, the jazz keeps coming in. Yeah, it's great when you actually learn what to do before you boot it up and fire it up and go to town. You have to put batteries in it. That may be the case. It is what it is. Oh, yes. There was that one time where I had, there was an arcade that I would go to, and there would be, this card that you have to, put money into, and then pretty much slide that card into the machine and press the button to add in your credits. And there was that one pinball game that I would go to town with and try out, and with the card still in the slot, and me accidentally hitting the fucking button constantly, I would be getting additional credits while completely draining the amount of money put into that arcade gaming card. That game card. That you kind of, if you've been to a GameWorks, oh man. But yeah, there's this game card that you do get. You just go to one of those kiosks, you just slide those coins in, dollar bills, and then put money down into whatever you want to do. It's crazy. Pinball fuckery aside, let's get right on going, and that's all. And we got a lot of other stuff to take a look at from left and right, so yeah. Anyway, that's all. I will be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out. This is nothing but a video product made by a fellow gamer man. Ayo!